Please welcome Edward Enninful. Mr. Edward Enninful.
Trevor.
Welcome to The Daily Show.
Thank you for having me.
It's really good to have you here because for so many years, I would see you at, some of the coolest events. You were always like the face of fashion. It's always very intimidating to speak to you, by the way.
You never seem intimidated.
I really am, every time. No, because you are one of, I would say, like the most prominent voices in the fashion world.
Oh, thank you.
Like whenever I dress up, I know I've probably done something wrong, but who's going to say anything to me? And then I see you and I'm like, there's Edward.
Oh, you're so good. You're very stylish.
Let's talk about the book and let's talk about this life. Some people know your face, from British Vogue. They'll know you for, creating some of the most iconic covers. Beyoncé, for instance, on the cover of Vogue. People have seen you at fashion shows, Fashion Week. People have seen your face.
I'm everywhere.
Yeah, you are everywhere. But a lot of people may not know the story behind the man, and I love that this book talks about it. So let's start with what you do, because I feel like you do everything. Yeah. Just break it down a little bit for me. Like, what is Edward into now?
So basically, what I do is I'm the editor for British Vogue, which means you're really responsible for all the images, all the words in the magazine, and perception. Then I'm also editorial director for all the Vogues in Europe, so Italian, French, Germany, Spain, and that involves a lot of phone calls every day. No sleep, so I don't really sleep. That's what I do best, no sleep.
And you shape what people think. I love that you highlight that part. Oftentimes I'll talk to people about fashion, and the industry. People go like, who cares? I don't care about fashion. You don't care about fashion. And yet
it's not brain surgery.
Yeah, it isn't brain surgery, and yet it affects everyone in every which way. You took a role that no black person had ever had. You took a role that no gay person had ever had. You've been the first in so many positions, and it feels like you've had to live a life of now making sure that everybody is seen. I'd love to know how you even think about this on a daily basis. How do you think about who's on the cover of a magazine, who's in a magazine, which designers are in a magazine, and what fashion even should be?
I mean, we think of the zeitgeist, who's representing the world today, who's everyone talking about. We also have to think, who's going to shock the world a bit, because you can't always be safe.
Right.
And for me, when I approach an issue, I approach it in terms of, just diversity. We live in a world that's so diverse. I love all kinds of women. I love big women, I love small women, black women, older women. And for me, women need to see themselves represented in the magazine every month.
I wonder where this sense of yours came from. When I read through the story, we go through the life of a young Ghanaian boy and his family, moving from Ghana to the United Kingdom, having nothing really. And having nothing, and just working your way up. And your mom has this influence, on you in what she designed and how she was renowned as a designer. I'd love to know how much she shaped how you see fashion and its role in the world today.
I mean, my mother literally shaped how I see not just fashion but the world. I grew up in her atelier, and when you're African, with my grandmothers, my aunts, my cousins, big women, tall women, loud women, and I'd always be in the corner, soaking up women. I love women. I love their energy. And they wouldn't know I was in the corner, and then eventually somebody would be like, Edward, go get me water. So I grew up with my mother just learning about design and colors and really what women liked and what made them tick in terms of fashion.
And when you moved to the United Kingdom, I mean, the UK has changed so much over the years. And in the book, we follow that journey. Yeah. We see a world where you didn't fit in so many ways. You didn't fit in as a gay man, right? You didn't fit in as a black person in many spaces. You didn't fit in this fashion world that had an idea of what beauty even stood for. And you see these pictures of you at the very beginning with like Naomi Campbell and Kate Moss, and you're beginning this. Why on earth would you go into an industry where everyone told you didn't belong? What made you stay there?
Well, I didn't have a choice. I was sort of discovered on a train. I was, on my way to being a lawyer, a doctor,
African.
proper African profession.
Yeah, of course.
And I was discovered on the train to be a model and then this whole world opened up for me. But little did I know that I was going to be the token or the chosen one.
Mm-hmm.
And when people are in that role, normally they're like, I'm good, I'm on my own. I'm like, but for me, it wasn't enough. I had to bring people up with me. I had to bring my friends, Pat McGrath, work with Naomi, because I didn't want to be the only one in that space.
I love that. I love that. You brought people, you incorporated the people. Yes. You know, you created a community and a culture that has shaped the way we see the world today. But it wasn't easy. It didn't, you know, I remember there's a tweet of yours that went viral, made the news around the world, and you talk about it in the book, where you were in a pretty senior position at Vogue. You know,
you were the editor.
Yeah, there you are. And you have many of your contemporaries who were also editors at different fashion magazines, etc. Yeah, you were fashion director at that time, actually. And you're at the fashion show, and they seat everybody else in the front row.
Oh, the fashion directors, yeah.
And they put you in the second row. And you noticed there was one thing that was different between you and them.
I mean... I mean, you can't miss my skin tone.
But I would love to know why you tweeted about it. So many other people would just keep quiet, would be hurt, wouldn't say anything, wouldn't want to ruffle any feathers. You tweeted it out, and you know, it was really cheeky and fun. I loved it. You said, "Why is it that we all have the same job?" And I'm paraphrasing, but I'm the only one in the second row. And then you're racism ? And I like
XOXO.
XOXO.
Look, for me, I just figure that, you know, when you're the one, it's your responsibility. When those things happen, to just tweet about it. Let the world know that it's not right. It's not good. It can't happen. It can't keep happening. So by doing that, that'll never happen to me again. I can assure you that.
Enninful. Let's talk about fashion as a whole.
Yes.
Fashion has for so long gone through, I feel like it's changed, but it's often been resistant to change. You know, I remember when I was growing up, people would complain about models who were anorexic and how they were told that they needed to look a certain way in order for them to be accepted. And then the fashion industry was like, okay, we'll change. You know, and then over time, people said, hey, why aren't you more inclusive of all women's bodies? And then the fashion industry was like, okay, we'll change. Now, one of the bigger conversations people are having is about sustainability.
Yes.
You know, fashion comes out with new clothing every single season. They tell you what you're wearing is old and it's trash, you need new stuff, but then the old stuff gets thrown away, it's filling up landfills, etc. Are you seeing a push, and why do you think it's important for fashion to be at the forefront of sustainably creating why we wear what we wear?
I mean, what I love about the industry right now is the biggest conversations about sustainability. I've always preached, buy better, buy less. Buy things you can pass on to people, your kids, your sisters. But for me, for my industry to move forward, we need to, I don't know, just see that we're part of a world. Sometimes the fashion industry is so, what's the word? In its own little bubble.
It is.
In its own little bubble. So I think it's a reckoning, and we're all really, really dealing with it right now.
If you could change one thing about the fashion industry, you know, on your own with a magic wand, what would you change?
I mean, I always wanted it to be more inclusive. And we're getting there. It's still not enough. I wish there were more people from diverse backgrounds behind the scenes. Not just on the runways, not just, you know, on phones, but just behind the scenes. Not just interns, but mid-level, CEO level. That's really what I want.
You did that. You know, one thing I appreciate about you, one of the many things, is you actually did that on the ground. When you were able to hire people, you made sure to hire people who had previously been excluded. You know, it's not like you don't hire white people, but you hire everybody now. Everybody gets an equal opportunity to come into the building. You've changed that. Have you reaped the rewards of that? Have you noticed a change within Vogue as a whole?
I mean, for me, what I do is when I look at other magazines and I see that it's a norm to have sort of women of different shapes.
Right.
Colors and I feel that, you know, when I took the magazine over in 2017, that wasn't a conversation anybody was having. People were like, you're going to get fired. But I remember always saying, if I'm going to get fired, I'm going to get fired for something I believed in, not trying to be somebody else.
I love that.
And, you know, the world was ready.
I love that. I really do love that. It's a fantastic book that, I mean, I could talk to you for hours about, because it talks about everything, the AIDS epidemic, it talks about identity as a gay man, it talks about the fashion industry, it talks about your life as an African, as an immigrant. It feels like you touch on everything. It's a fantastic journey. I'm going to ask you for a favor, putting you on the spot, because you have so much, because you don't like create the fashion, but you have such an influence. Can I ask you to get them to stop saying plus size models, because then it implies that they're not model?
Curvy. I love curvy.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's.
I never like that word.
Do you never think
either.
it's weird? Because people will be like, oh, plus size model, but then it implies that, like, they're not
Beautiful.
like, just model.
Curvy.
Yeah,
sexy. Whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
That's all I ask you. Thank you so much for joining
Done.
the show.
Done.
Congratulations on everything.
Oh, thank you so
Always
much.
a pleasure seeing you. Edward's memoir, A Visible Man, is available right now. Edward Enninful, everybody.